month or so ago, YouTube recommended me a CJDeathbot video, or 100% Terraria in one world. At the time I was between games, so I thought, hey, I can probably do that. Now I've only played Terraria a couple of times. When I first got the game, about 6 years ago, I made it to Hardmode, died to the destroyer a few times, and stopped playing. 4 years ago, I made a video getting the Terraria Spark boots, which, spoiler warning if you haven't seen it, ended when I got the boots and made it to Hardmode. And a few years ago, I played a modded playthrough with some friends. Or someone says, you finished a playthrough, but you called yourself a noob in the video title. We played journey mode with like every quality of life mod. Me playing was joining the game, getting handed the best possible items, and then standing around while the boss died. I don't think we ever fought a boss more than once since we just duplicated the treasure bags. One of the achievements added since CJDeathbot's video is the Rare Realm achievement, where you join a world with a secret seed. With all that experience, I decided to 100% the hardest possible seed, the Get Fix Boy or Zenith seed. Unfortunately, that seed disables the NPC happiness mechanic, making the Leading Landlord achievement unobtainable. So instead I chose For the Worthy, so I can still play on legendary difficulty. 9 hours later, I killed the first boss. Now I'm going to preemptively apologize here. I'm not great at taking notes while recording, and I have a lot of recordings to get through, so I'm probably going to miss a little thing here or there. Entering the Rare Realm, I cut down a tree and died to the first slime that spawned. Dying was a pretty common theme in this world, so I'm going to skip a lot of them, unless they're funny. Next I made a workbench and a house, wore some matching attire, and crafted a hammer. Then I started exploring, finding the crimson and some chests to loot. Spent the first night trying to make some NPC prisons, I mean houses. The demolitionist didn't like the look of them, and opened the door to a zombie. In the morning, I had officially survived my first night. Couldn't figure out how to put the houses underground, so I just started stacking them. And then while messing around with some controls, I accidentally rebound hotbar 3 to the left mouse button, which got me killed. I went back to where I died to mine the ore that was there, but was quickly returned to spawn, where I crafted an anvil and my first mana star. At that point, I had died enough to make a graveyard, getting the A Quiet Neighborhood achievement. Then I made a fashion statement of swapping my armor to my vanity slots. I performed vehicular manslaughter on a red slime, broke my first heart crystal, and forgot to watch my step. I spent the next while gearing up, making several armor and weapon upgrades. Then a slime rain started, which I kinda cheesed by stabbing slimes in their metaphorical ankles. When Piggy spawned, I killed it. When King Slime spawned, I died. Then I found a magic carpet in a desert pyramid, which became an essential part of my movement accessories. Then I started a elevator, finding enough topaz for a hook, and working my way through the tungsten and gold tiers. A ferry led me to some of the gold, and I found a suspicious-looking eye and a mace, the latter of which became my primary weapon. I also raised my health and got a compass from the first piranha I killed, and I found an extractinator. During this mining montage, the merchant, nurse, and demolitionist moved in, or back in the case of the demolitionist. I went to loot a sky island with a gravitation potion, forgetting that they are locked on For the Worthy. I also flew into orbit. With the islands locked, I explored my way to the East Ocean, finding the angler. I purchased a cat license from the zoologist, then started my arena for the Eye of Cthulhu. I died while exploring the underground desert, and pet the new cat, and then a natural spawn of the eye jumped me because I didn't see the notification because I was in the underground desert dying. I decided to break a crimson heart and got a gun, allowing the arms dealer to spawn. Seeing the possibility of a ranged build, I decided to make a sand gun and desert fossil armor. Then a goblin army spawned. On For the Worthy, dropped gravestones do damage. Often more damage than I could do while alive. After that ordeal, I lit my mace on fire, then went back to the desert to get more antlion mandibles for the sand gun. With all the gravestones around, Abigail's flower grew, becoming my first minion. Eventually I made the sand gun, and then learned it leaves sand behind, and was killed by the Eye of Cthulhu again. I realized I needed more maneuverability to kill the eye, so I went looking for the Goblin Tinkerer. Found a spider nest first, but eventually found him in a glowing mushroom biome. Then another slime rain started, and I died to King Slime and the eye again. At this point, I was sick of dying while exploring, and started fishing. Got the Spectre boots, but then a blood moon started. I saw and trapped a groom, but died before I could kill him. I still got the achievement for surviving a blood moon though. Then a gnome tried to take me out while I was exploring, but he was allergic to the sun. I found a depth meter and caught my first quest fish, then bought a DPS meter, revolver, and lifeform analyzer from a traveling merchant. Tried fishing for a bit more, but didn't catch anything noteworthy. After watching a quick guide, I made my Eye of Cthulhu arena bigger, and then made my way to the underworld. Killed a nymph for a metal detector and Tim for a hat. I also found some meteorite bars in a chest, which I later turned into meteor shot for my gun. Poked around in the underground jungle for a bit, picking up a boomstick. I also saw a hive, but forgot to enter it. Died to the eye again, and caught my second quest fish. Finally, on probably like my 5th attempt, I killed the eye. I attempted to kill the Brain of Cthulhu shortly thereafter, but died without even killing a creeper. And then my power went out. The next day, I set up the beginning of a surface mushroom biome and tried to start a pylon network. My ocean pylon did not work because the angler does not sell things. While setting up a second arena for the brain, I got the Marathon Medalist achievement. Then I died to the brain twice. Went back to the underground desert and managed to find the Gulfer, a magic conch, and the last of the desert fossils I needed for full fossil armor. I moved the Gulfer in with the angler and employed an unusual survival strategy. Then I caught another quest fish and bought an ocean pylon. Party girl had just shown up, so I threw a jolly jamboree. Next, I started work on a Skeletron arena. Killed the eye again, and died to the brain once more. And then another goblin army approached. I quickly reforged my boomstick, and fought them off. Then I went fishing for a bit, catching 6 ocean crates and a reaver shark. After reaching max pre-hard mode health, I died to the brain some more, then completed the Torch God's challenge. I also attempted the eye in that arena, but had to teleport home, where the nurse labeled me a frequent flyer. Fighting the brain some more, I finally killed a few creepers and got 4 of the 6 tissue samples I needed for a Deathbringer pickaxe. That's right, I had fought the brain at least 7 times already and hadn't killed a creeper. The next day I caught my 5th quest fish, which the angler rewards with the bunny mount. I reforged my items, then died to the brain some more. I visited the ice biome, where I bulldozed my 10,000th tile and found some ice skates. I also checked out a hive in the jungle, then I died to the brain again and caught another quest fish. I realized potions were going to be important. I hadn't really been using them, so I stocked up. I also replaced my aglet with a magnoluminescence for the extra move speed. I killed a groom during the next blood moon, and finally got the last tissue samples I needed to make a Deathbringer pickaxe. So I drank an obsidian skin potion and went mining for hellstone. I got enough hellstone to make full molten armor, a volcano, and an imp staff, beginning the end of my ranged class adventures. I also made a molten pickaxe, getting the miner for fire achievement, and immediately outgrowing my Deathbringer. Then I went fishing, catching another quest fish, and an anklet of the wind I turned into lightning and then frostbark boots. I got a hell butterfly, which I used to fish in lava, but didn't get anything I wanted. Kept fishing until my potions ran out, eventually catching my 10th quest fish. I decided to look for the shimmer and ran into a crab generator overlapping with a chest statue, making a natural mimic spawner. Eventually I realized I had passed by the edge of the shimmer biome. Once I reached it, I accidentally dropped a stone into it, shimmering it into dirt. I started setting up houses for a pylon nearby and threw a yo-yo at some shimmer slimes. I shimmered a life crystal into a vital crystal for the extra health regen, but couldn't set up a pylon yet. So I went back to fishing, getting water walking boots and a fireproof fishing hook. And I made my first Skeletron attempt and died. I decided I wanted Terra Spark boots before fighting Skeletron, so I explored the underworld a little and started a bridge for the Wall of Flesh. I moved the Dryad and Painter to the jungle, getting the Leading Landlord achievement and setting up a jungle pylon. Then I lava fished right through a blood moon, but still didn't get a lava charm. Eventually I got a lucky break and a lava charm dropped on my 32nd obsidian crate. The obsidian rose dropped soon after, and I made the boots of the hero. I had disarmed every dead man's chest I had found so far, so I had to intentionally swim in lava for the Dead Men Tell No Tales achievement. Then I bought a completely awesome mini shark from the arms dealer and did some shimmer reforging. I tried some Sky Island fishing and got a Star Fury, then started replacing my dirt wall of flesh platform with planter boxes. The planter boxes are easier to place and allow the lava dropped by the lava slimes to fall through. When it started raining slime, I killed enough to spawn King Slime, but he despawned before I could try and fight him. I think he was scared. Then a blood moon rose, so I decided not to fight Skeletron. I spent the next few Terraria days building the Wall of Flesh bridge and dying to Skeletron at night. Except when a goblin army or a blood moon showed up, or when I tried to fight Queen Bee or the Brain. I flew a kite on a rather blustery day, and looked into the dungeon as far as I could, stealing a water candle and a bewitching table. Eventually I decided the kind of cheesy minecart method would be the only way I would kill Skeletron, but realized I was going to need a good ranged weapon. 2 hours of Skeletron attempts and a Slime Rain and King Slime attempt later, I finally defeated the Bonehead and started exploring the dungeon. Why did I pull the lever that shoots me in the face? The main thing I looted was a Muramasa to make the Night's Edge. Tried to get a pylon at the Shimmer, but I'd already used the jungle pylon, so I started a mushroom biome nearby. I crafted a void bag for the extra inventory and caught my 25th angler quest fish. I bought and ate an artisan loaf, then burned a traveling merchant alive to turn his hat into a bag so that future merchants would sell more items. This game's weird. The old shaking chest spawned nearby the Shimmer, which I unlocked to spawn the Elder Slime. This was the second of 8 town slimes. I don't know when the cool slime showed up. The mushroom biome finished growing soon after, letting me set up the pylon. Then I made a few Wall of Flesh attempts and fished some more. The next slime rain, I nearly killed King Slime, then grabbed a cobalt shield from the dungeon to make an obsidian shield. I realized a Brain of Confusion would be useful, so I alternated fighting Brain of Cthulhu and Wall of Flesh. Shortly after beating the Brain, I finished my 30th Angler quest and was rewarded with the Golden Fishing Rod. I was dying quite a bit to the wall, especially when it spawned accidentally, so I tried a couple different class setups. I eventually realized I survived the longest with Molten Armor, but needed a ranged weapon so I could damage it when I ran away to heal. I also got a high-test fishing line from an Angler quest, and found the Jungle Temple. Most of my problem with the wall was the imps it spawns, so I set up a second row of planter boxes to prevent them from teleporting onto my level, and decided to try and focus more on killing them. The imps can spawn in a 3-block tall space, but can't teleport into one. Something about that worked because I finally killed the wall and entered hard mode. It only took about 38.5 hours and 232 deaths. My map didn't immediately update, but the hard mode V spread Hallow to the east into the Crimson biome, and Crimson to the west into the jungle and desert. I started hard mode by breaking some altars, rolling cobalt or calcum and titanium, and gathering the new NPCs. The truffle moved right in, and I found the Tavern Keep sleeping in the underworld while I was looking for the tax collector. I mined some cobalt, killed my first hard mode mimic, and saved the wizard. During that time, I had collected 2 fast clocks, one of which I shimmered into a trifold map to make the plan. I collected enough orichalcum for a pickaxe, and then pirates invaded. After fighting them off, a Flying Dutchman kindly stuck around long enough for me to kill it, but it didn't drop anything crazy. Then I made a titanium furnace and equipped dye in every dye slot. I next made a graveyard around the druid to buy corrupt seeds and started an artificial corruption, so eventually I could fight the Eater of Worlds. While the corruption spread, I decided to focus on gearing up with the Ankh Shield and titanium armor. I got a bandage, crafted an angler earring into a tackle bag, died to a crimson mimic, turned a titan glove into a power glove, and found a pocket mirror, radar, and tally counter. I'd already found multiple radars, but I think I was finding so many that I was like, oh, I always have an extra one of these, and sold all of them by accident. Then it started raining slime, and I was determined to kill the king. If you're wondering why I didn't just spawn him, there is a specific achievement for killing him during a slime rain, and slime rains are rarer once he has been killed. Killing him spawns the nerdy slime, another of the town slimes. I caught a golden goldfish, which I cooked into golden delight, and picked up the last piece of the Ankh Shield I needed, the megaphone. I actually needed the Nazir, but Shimmer could swap. While trying to catch a quest fish, a titanium crate dropped an enchanted sundial, which lets you skip time to the next dawn once a week. It came in handy later. Next, I set up a pylon network with access to the ocean, underground jungle, shimmer, underworld, hallow, ice biome, and dungeon. I had found a free mechanical skull on the ground after the slime rain, so I decided to fight Skeleton Prime in my Skeletron arena. Both me and my arena suffered, as Prime's bombs can destroy blocks and further worthy. According to the wiki, adamantite armor is better than titanium, so I shimmered all of my titanium armor to make some. It wasn't good enough to save me from a natural spawn of the twins, though. Enough corruption has spread that I could spawn the Eater of Worlds, but fell off the arena and died. Half an hour of collecting rotten chunks later, it despawned before I could kill it. After using the sundial to skip a blood moon, I took my time to kill the worm without any more mistakes. Feeling emboldened by my worm kill, I decided to take on the destroyer, who ripped me to shreds. So the angler rewarded me for my next fishing quest with a sextant, the last item I needed to make a cell phone. I had both conchs also, so I immediately made it into a shell phone. Then I gave a copper helmet to a slime to summon the copper slime pet. I figured Queen Bee would be an easier fight than the destroyer, so I killed her twice for a bee gun and bee armor. After dying to the destroyer again, I decided to try dying to the queen slime, who happily obliged. The angler gave me fish wings, which I equipped for a bit, but ended up barely using. I also made an onyx blaster for fighting Queen Slime. The wiki also recommends the Sanguine Staff, but I couldn't kill a Dread Nautilus. A few Queen Slime attempts later, I caught my 50th quest fish. I don't think I mentioned this, but I was reforging my gear. I got whatever the wiki said was best for my weapons, and then tried to get warding on all of my accessories. Except the fishing accessories, I tried to get lucky on those. I died to Skeletron Prime again, and then I have a note here that is just a timestamp in the word spork. And then Wyvern ended my next Prime attempt before it even started. I found a guitar though. After dying to Prime 2 more times, I realized I was out of potion materials and had to go fishing. Caught an oyster that dropped a pink pearl I shimmered into a galaxy pearl, and a sandstorm in a bottle I made into a bundle of horseshoe balloons. A blood moon delayed my next Prime attempt, so I fought Queen Slime some more, and actually killed her. I threw one of her sparkle slime balloons into the shimmer to spawn the Diva Slime. After a couple more destroyer attempts, I killed a rainbow slime, completing the Gelatin World Tour. According to the wiki, a repeater is a good ranged weapon for the destroyer. I don't know if titanium is harder to reforge, but it took so long. I was collecting the vertebrae I needed to craft the mechanical worms for spawning the destroyer in the underground crimson, right at the edge of the desert. And both a desert and crimson key dropped. I also collected a bunch of souls, so I fought some crimson mimics for a dart pistol. I made ichor arrows for my repeater, which lower enemies' defense, and crystal darts for the pistol, which can bounce back and forth between enemies, and then died to the destroyer again. Then I made a long floating minecart track to fight Skeletron Prime. That way he couldn't blow it up. Unfortunately, he blew everything underneath it up, effectively carpet bombing half of my world. I cleaned that up a bit, but my ice pylon was gone. I had so much trouble setting that back up later. I don't know why. The NPCs refused to work with me. I cut the size of the track down, and then pirates invaded again. Luckily, my housing just like traps the Flying Dutchman, so that's cool. My next Prime attempt, I got him below half health, but he got me when I reached the edge of the track. Then I got another desert key, and a crimson mimic dropped the life drain. After skipping yet another blood moon, I destroyed the metal worm twice in one night. This arena was not intended to be cheese, but it kinda was, and the life drain helped quite a bit. I used the hello bars to make a repeater and Excalibur, and then the steampunker moved in. Then I tried to get the mystic frog to spawn from a frog statue in the jungle, but I don't think that works. With the first mechanical boss dead, life fruit started growing. I adjusted my minecart track to fight the twins, but despawned them when Spasmatism entered his second phase. While farming for souls for the mechanical eye, a hallowed key dropped. I ended up over farming a bit, killing the twins with 4 spawns left. I made a Mega Shark to fight Prime, but died so much I had to go get more bones for the spawners. Many of the deaths were during the bounce at the edges of the track, so I decided to make the track into a bigger version of my original, like, Skeletron Diamond. The first solar eclipse started, but I skipped it. I still got the Kill the Sun achievement. Then, finally, I killed Skeletron Prime, the last of the Mech Bosses. The treasure bag dropped dangerously close to this pool of lava, which in hindsight I probably should have like covered or drained or something, but whatever, I'm sure it won't come up later. I made a pickaxe axe to mine chlorophyte, and upgraded my Excalibur to a true Excalibur. While I was fishing, a mystic frog spawned, which I converted into the mystic slime, the last of the town slime pets. I fished up the surly slime at some point, I don't remember when. I'm sorry, I can't find it. Then I spent about an hour digging a Plantera arena. During that time, I got the last of the life fruit I needed for maximum health, ate an Aegis fruit, got a jungle key, and made full chlorophyte armor. I may be overprepared for Plantera, as I killed her on my first try. I opened the jungle door, then made a grand design to see the wires of the traps, which doesn't work. The cyborg arrived, so I bought a drone to fly to infinity and beyond. The princess showed up soon after, making me a successful real estate agent. Then I opened all of the biome chests I had keys for. An enemy dropped something rare in the dungeon, giving me the Robbing the Grave achievement, and I fired the rainbow gun on Unicornback. After those side quests, I decided to progress some more, slowly making my way through the jungle temple to the golem chamber. I was mostly unprepared, but I tried the fight anyway and died. I started a solar eclipse, but no Mothron spawned. The eclipse went into a blood moon, and I attempted the Dread Nautilus fight again. Golem, as you saw, makes everything dark during the fight, so I bought some luminous paint from the painter to paint the arena. I completely underestimated the amount I would need, but it didn't matter, I just defeated the Lizardian idol in the dark. The vampire knives carried. I killed it a few more times, but it didn't drop the pixaw and I got bored and left. I visited the rock bottom of the underworld and then lost a fight with a lunatic cultist. I decided I wanted beetle armor to fight him, so I spent nearly an hour looking for turtle shells, with the 3rd shell dropping on the 80th turtle kill. I don't know what the chance of that is, but it seems really low. Then I started another solar eclipse, and Mothron showed right up. The 3rd Mothron dropped the broken hero sword I needed to make the sword of the hero, the Terra Blade. Then I died to the cultist again, and realized I needed a better arena. With my stationary buffs set up, I killed the obsessed devotee, starting the lunar events. I killed the Stardust Pillar first, leaving the Queen Sentry below it and choosing the Star Cells. I made a Stardust Dragon summon, and then got an Ice Key to get the Staff of the Frost Hydra for a better sentry to leave underneath the pillar. The Vortex Pillar went down next, then the Solar, and then I completed an Angler quest, and then I finished with the Nebula Pillar. I made a whole bunch of super healing potions, and then fought the Moon Lord on my Skeleton Prime minecart track. It was a long and difficult fight that ended when I jumped to dodge an eye attack and landed on a sky island. So I made a few celestial sigils to try the fight again, and a bunch more healing potions, and removed the offending sky island. Then a Martian probe got away from me and triggered an invasion. I died to the first Martian saucer, but killed the second, and got cosmic car keys from the 5th. After fighting off the Martians, I accidentally called them back while preparing to fight the Moon Lord again. For some reason, I tried to fight the cultists during the invasion, which went as you might expect. A Xenopopper dropped, which I used with chlorophyte billets to kill the Moon Lord. He dropped a Meowmere, which was helpful, as next on my achievement list was making the Zenith. It took 3 more Plantera kills to get the Seedler. I started the Pumpkin Moon next, and the first Pumpkin dropped the Horseman's Blade. Unfortunately, I got stuck in a death loop, and the event ended at wave 13. I used my last sigil to kill the Moon Lord again, very close to that same pool of lava from earlier, getting the Terrarian, but not the Star Wrath. I triggered another Martian invasion, and the first saucer kindly dropped an Influx Waver. Then I died to the Lunatic Cultist a few times. I realized I was dying because I was out of food, so I fixed that and killed it again. The Cultist kill overlapped with a Blood Moon, and I killed my first Dread Nautilus. I defeated the Pillars again, making full solar armor and a whole bunch of super healing potions, completely forgetting about Celestial Sigils. It was fine though, because the Moon Lord dropped the Star Wrath. A few Queen Bee kills later, and the Infinity +1 sword was mine.
What the? What? What? Come on.
I used my overpowered blade to engage in some mecha mayhem. Then made a rainbow rod and defeated the fish out of water Duke Fishron, becoming the Slayer of Worlds. I became the hero of Etheria by completing an Old One's army, and reached the 15th wave of the Pumpkin Moon. Also, King Slime spawned. I had enough leftover Stardust fragments to make the Stardust armor. With the Bewitching Table, the armor, the Necromantic Scroll, and a Pygmy necklace, I summoned a minion army. Then I summoned the Frost Moon, and reached way past wave 15, making it Christmas for a day. I accidentally got the Lunatic Devotee banner, and got a snow globe from a present drop. I killed Deerclops, then summoned the Frost Legion. At this point, I had 5 achievements left. Kill a Dr. Bones, kill the Empress of Light, completely purify the world, catch 200 quest fish. So I brought a Clentaminator and started purifying the world. Turned into a terraformer pretty quick. It probably would have made more sense to kill the Empress before clearing the Hallow, but I'm not always sensible. I killed a Dr. Bones in the jungle. Originally, I thought breaking altars infected random blocks, but that was removed in 1.4.4, I think. I'm glad I checked it before getting too far into the purification process, but I do wish I had checked it sooner. It would have made the initial Hardmode ore grind a lot easier if I'd broken more altars, but I didn't break them because I didn't want to spread random infection. Whatever. I got to 1% Hallow and Crimson relatively quickly, but couldn't find the last few blocks, even with Biome Sight Potions. So I did the entire lunar events again, to get enough Luminite for the drill containment unit, and removed the middle of the underground. In total, it took 12 hours of purifying to completely say good riddance to the last of the infection. Then I undid a bunch of that by spreading Hallow to fight the Empress of Light. That just left the quest fishing. I had been fishing the entire game, and even more during the purification process, so I only had about 50 left. I shimmered a second enchanted sundial into a moon dial, because they have separate cooldowns so you can skip extra time, and I made a small crimson biome. The sun and moon dials reset their cooldowns on naturally spawned blood moons and solar eclipses, which made the process a little faster. I sometimes could get like 3 quest fishes in a couple minutes. It did not make it faster when the enemies kill the angler. Finally, after nearly 94 hours of playing and 471 deaths, I woke up to a party and asked the angler what kind of messed up creature he wanted me to fish up. He told me batfish, caught in underground caverns. So I dropped into my caverns lake, pulled one out, and became a Supreme Helper minion. Terraria is a game about fishing. I knew that before, but I understand it now. Would I ever do this again? Maybe. Not soon, that's for sure, but maybe in a couple years. There were only a few times I thought I might not be able to finish, namely the grind to kill Skeletron and Skeletron Prime, but it was doable. Of course, if I were to do this again, I would have more experience, so it'd probably go better, be a little faster. I feel like I've heard people say the angler quests are the worst part, but I think the purification was harder. The quests are just boring, whereas the purification, like, you actually have to go and do stuff. The purification achievement is probably easier to get if you prepare correctly, though, or you do it with an endgame character in a pre-hard mode world. This was the largest video I've ever made, so I'm going to ask for a like from people who made it this far, even though I don't normally do that. I guess you could go watch my Terraspark video if you want. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's probably not terrible. And I can make YouTube recommend you a video here. Anyway, you know the drill. Like if you liked, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time. The next day, I caught my 5th quest fish. The next day, I caught my 5th quest... 5th quest fish. The next day, I caught my 5th quest fish with the angler rewards. Eventually catching my 10th quest fish. Fish. I made a stardust. I made a stardust. I used my overpowered bait. I used the overpower and became a supreme helper. I almost did that in one take.